the Robert Klein Hour. Hi, this is Dennis Elsis, and tonight Budweiser presents the Robert Klein Hour. The Robert Klein Hour is a new radio series recorded before a live audience in New York City. Joining Robert on tonight's show will be Meat Loaf and Todd Rundgren, plus I'll be counting down the top 20 albums according to Rolling Stone magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Robert Klein.
Thank you very much. I am indeed Robert Klein, just in case Irv Smith came out instead at the mention of my name. And this is the Robert Klein Hour, and we'll be here every 2 weeks at this time. And we're going to do a lot of different things. We're going to have a countdown of the top 20 albums and play some cuts from those albums, doing a little comedy, maybe very little comedy. We don't know. We think it's going to be fun. We're going to talk to some interesting people and creative people, and I will not ask them what their favorite color is or what their sign or moon are. I don't know. People are always, I don't know. Do you believe that sort of stuff? I'm not sure, you know. You're an astrology person, you in the first row, eh? I never know. Sometimes you stretch it. You read in the paper, you look under your month, and I guess if you really believe it enough, you'll make it fit, sort of. It might say, a good day to ask for a raise. Right on. If I had a job, I would ask for a raise. It's uncanny. It's perfect. I've had people guess my sign. They take 12 guesses. Aquarius. I knew it. I knew it. You're very assertive. You're creative. You know, they always know the thing after guessing all the others. For where's your moon? I'm up there with everyone else's moon. What are you asking if I'm not an astronomer? We're going to be talking today with several people who I think are fascinating and whose work I admire very much. We're going to be talking to a big fellow who's also a big artist and big in every way, Meat Loaf. I think you know Meat Loaf. Mr. Loaf, as the New York Times referred to him in a review. I love that. We're having Meat Loaf, we're having mashed potatoes, green peas, and a little salad on the side. Matter of fact, I'm getting kind of hungry, so let's get this over with. I love that one. I love to make my own salad in those restaurants. That's America's greatest passion now. You make your own salad, and that shows the pig in all of us, doesn't it? People tend to take a little bit more than they ordinarily would. You know, a tremendous bowl. You get this giant bowl here, and need some of this. Boom, some of this. Bop. What are those? I don't know. They're free. Bop. Right in there. Get 3 loaves of bread in there and bring it over, and you wonder how those places make out. It's very simple. They have a pig alarm. If you go back for a 5th helping, it goes, hey, pig, light shine. And sure enjoying those synthetic bacon bits, aren't you? How about another crouton, cretin? You know. That's America's passion, making your own salad. Of course, they save it on the steak, which is made of shoes. Normally, the meat suffers if the salad is good. That's a little rule of thumb. Traveling around America, I remember I went into a restaurant in Houston that had a medieval motif. A lot of places, I guess they don't have a heritage that's hundreds of years old, say like Budapest or Paris, so they create one. And they had these poor kids, I guess they were high school, college kids, working as waiters, dressed in medieval dress with leggings, and you know, and this guy comes up and says, hello, I'm Basil, your medieval waiter. You can have a choice of medieval entrees, you can have meat, you eat it with your fingers, you know. And they have Gregorian chants in the background. And they occasionally put on a little Meat Loaf in between. In addition to Meat Loaf, we have a quick visit from a real superstar, Todd Rundgren, who you may know produced the Meat Loaf album. Bat Out of Hell. Todd is here on a slightly serious matter. It doesn't mean we all have to hide our heads in our lap, but he is behind an interesting event which will be broadcast on many of these stations, and we'll talk about that a little later. And he's doing a fine deed for human beings on a kind of one-to-one basis involving the refugees from Indochina, the boat people, and others. And so we'll be talking to him, and we'll be listening to some music of the artists involved and others. And Dennis Elsis will be here from WNEW-FM here in New York, and we hope you stay with us. We'll be right back. He's one of the most popular artists of contemporary music in the world, and he's also doing something very noble, something which I'm very interested in myself, and I'm glad that someone cares enough to do what he is doing. And it involves a large event, which is both a Holocaust and will have a happy ending. So will you welcome Todd Rundgren. Todd? Those of you listening in stereo, Todd is at the right speaker, I think. Now we're going to talk a couple of minutes about a specific event that you're involved with. And can you tell us what it is?
The initial event is a concert that a number of local musicians are participating in, the purpose of which is to raise money for more or less for the survival of these so-called boat people, although the boat people are just more or less, I mean, when I first learned about it, I thought boat people, there's just this boat full of people out there, and when I got into it more, I realized that it was not just a boat full of people, it was a large, very large mass of people, estimated some 150,000 people.
Who choose not to live in various countries in Southeast Asia like Vietnam, right?
Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos are the major areas where the people are where they're coming from at this point.
It's a fantastic story. You know, it's a kind of a lick at the world's conscience. Here are these people floundering on boats and ill and desperately in need of getting off the boat, and the whole world seems to be turning its back on them.
Well, yeah, as I was saying, it's not just people, it's not just boats. That's more or less the recent manifestation. A lot of people come from these countries across land or across Mekong River, for instance, don't necessarily ever wind up in a boat, but
where will the money
by
go?
whatever method they get there, they're essentially displaced refugees from these three countries.
And where will this money go? And how do you know it'll get where you want it to go?
Well, the money goes to an organization called the IRC, which is the International Rescue Committee. They're essentially the main organization at this point involved in taking care of these refugees. And we learned this after the fact. They didn't come to us. We called the United Nations, and the United Nations told us these were the people to be in charge of the logistics of seeing that everyone gets the product of our efforts.
But Todd, if countries won't take these people, what good will money do? What can the money do to help them?
Well, it's
or will countries take them if they have some money supporting them?
Well, I don't know how much it costs to get somebody into a country. The political ramifications of this are very broad. My response to it was not on a political level. My response to it was that politicians will make a big issue out of this and say we should take them or shouldn't take them. But in the meantime, while politicians and people like that are discussing this, these people are dying, literally dying, because they have no food, they have no medical supplies, they have essentially nothing, and that was my concern. I had no political solution.
You can't invite them all to your house.
Yeah, they can't all, I personally can't feed, 150,000 people or whatever, but we can make an effort, and we can also bring this to the attention of other people.
The event will be occurring on most of these stations on March the 18th. Tell us what the concert consists of, because
we called Ron Delson at the Palladium, and we also contacted the people at King Biscuit, and they seemed interested in doing what they do in order to help this. So it's
Who's on the concert?
Well, people on the concert at this point, there may be surprises as well, but people scheduled are Blue Oyster Cult, David Johansen Band, Patti Smith will be in. She'll be reading some poetry probably. She won't be with her group. And of course Utopian, probably a few people will sneak in and out while we're engaged.
We've grown a little cynical sometimes. You give money to something, you find out it could be going to some guy's to lame his office.
Yeah.
Like people on the street stuff. We want to help drug addiction.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, we've made a more or less
and they're selling
specific-
drugs, I think since you are, may I say without you blushing, a major contemporary music star, that you really be sure that money gets to the right people. And
Or I'm in trouble.
you look kind of hungry yourself.
I'm
You're a
sure I
pretty
can-
lean fellow.
I am sort of hungry today. It must be my gesture. But I haven't had a chance to eat yet.
I must say,
Crazy.
I must say, I think it's terrific. The concept of charity is sometimes a pretty decadent one. I wish that, for example, in our own country here, that we didn't have to have a lot of different charities, that all our treasure and our tax money would help fight disease rather than standing on street corners and asking for a dime.
I feel very self-conscious in some ways doing this, asking people for money for somebody else,
Understand?
'Cause I guess it's hard enough to ask for money for yourself, so.
Right. Well, I like your attitude on this. I think it's straightforward and to the point. It can't hurt a soul and probably help thousands. So you ought to be proud of yourself, Mr. Rundgren. I've only heard your music, and it's a pleasure to meet you, and a privilege.
Thank you.
Thanks for dropping by. Todd Rundgren.
Good luck.
Yeah.